Good evening, everybody. Happy Monday, and welcome back to the Collegiate iRacing League, our Ignition Zone pre-race show, the ultimate collegiate pre-race experience that's about to ignite your passion for speed, power, and adrenaline-fueled action. I'm here alongside Alex Gagnon in the booth with producers Christian, Keith, and John, and we're here to relive the pulse-pounding moments from last week's Music City 200, where inches made all the difference and speed and strategy collided on the asphalt battleground as we had a controversial race finish decide the winner, ultimately Matthew Morton walking away with that victory after playing the pit strategy just right, and some thoughts from the race director and the administrative team last week did wind up finalizing the results as they stood. So Matt Morton was confirmed to be the winner of that race. So ecstasy for some drivers in victory and heartbreak in defeat for others, but ultimately a great race last week. Alex.
Yeah, I mean, it had everything, especially coming down to the end. We really thought we were going to see one of the craziest finishes we had ever seen in the CIL with Duncan O'Connor about to take that one home. And then iRacing had other plans based off of what we thought was going to happen versus what iRacing actually had happen. And Matthew Morton, who was the fastest car for most of that race, does pick up the victory, but he definitely needed that green-white checkered at the end to get it done. And he officially punched his ticket, and now with that swing, both of those drivers were in the playoffs at the start of that race. They still are at the end of it, but instead of O'Connor being locked in and Morton trying to be in on points, now it's Morton who's locked in and O'Connor trying to sneak his way in on points here over the last two races.
Yeah, just a quick look at our playoff standings coming into tonight's race. We currently have 5 drivers that are locked into the playoff out of 10 possible spots. Drew Jewah, Matthew Morton, Timothy Moore, Matt O'Brien, and Logan Clampett are our locked-in drivers. And coming into this race are 5 drivers that are pointing their way in: Clint Halterman, Tim Robb, Drew Williams, Duncan O'Connor, and our cutoff driver is Jake Cummings. And on the outside looking in, Colin Culpa, 8 points behind, our reigning Alumni Series champion, on the verge of being cut. Dylan Godinez from PCT, minus 19. Our Muhammad Alif, 36 points down. And Alex, I think if Alif is going to win a race and lock his way into the playoffs, tonight is going to be the night. He has looked completely dominant in the practice session right before the race.
Yeah, I mean, we all know that he is a special talent when it comes to these road courses, and we see it a lot in the Formula Series on the Wednesday nights here in the CIL, but this is a prime opportunity for him to take advantage of the rare road course on the oval side and get it done and punch his ticket in. It's also a really good opportunity for someone who's above the cut line at the moment, but who hasn't locked themselves in, and that's Clint Halterman. Had a really good run the past couple weeks, getting some good points on the podium, but he's the defending winner of this race. He won over Jared Kaler a couple seasons ago in the spring in a very dramatic late race finish. And because of that, it's both of those guys I think are ones to watch today. The reigning winner from this race a couple seasons ago, and then the guy who I would say is probably the favorite coming into tonight of any driver who's in the hunt on the outside looking in.
Yeah, and we're going to get into some more of last year's race analysis and our race predictions. We're going to drop some predictions tonight for tonight's race. But first, we've got a special interview guest lined up on the table. Thomas Toomey from the University of Virginia, sort of one of our road course ringers here in the College Cup Series, did very well when the eNASCAR College iRacing Series went there last season. I believe you finished overall on the podium at the Glen there, as well as a string of very strong finishes at Watkins Glen here in the CIL. What are you looking forward to about tonight's race the most?
The start, I would say. A lot can happen on turn 1, so if we can make it through turn 1 and lap 1 cleanly, then the rest of the race is a lot more straightforward. Hopefully the lap traffic behaves as well. I know that was an issue last time we went here, so if we can avoid incidents, then yeah, it should be a good one.
Yeah, I mean, that is the name of the game. I feel like when it comes to stock car racing on a road course, is if you can survive the first corner, you'll be in decent shape. But obviously, it's not easy to get those things slowed down getting into turn 1. Do you have a particular plan for tonight? Is it going to be a track position sort of day, or is it going to have to try and be something pit strategy related? Do you have a way you see this race unfolding tonight, or is it just you go out there and you see what happens?
I think it's just going to be on pure pace. I don't think there's anything strategy-wise. The tires don't seem to be wearing much. The car seems like a second lap slower here than it did last year. At least what I think, based off of Leaf's times and from last year. So it's definitely a little bit different. So I think it'll be about saving tires, but just pure pace and who can have the fastest average lap, I think is going to win.
So I want to take you back to the eNASCAR iRacing series for the Collegiate iRacing series race. What was that, last spring? Was that back in the fall? When was that?
I think 2 years ago in the spring.
2 years ago. Wow. Okay, so a long time ago. That race, of course, was in the trucks and a bit shorter. A lot of drivers here in the CIL were in that field. Among them was Logan Clampett. And I know you two have been bantering for the past couple of weeks about you beat Clampett on pit strategy, and you've been popping back and forth. Is that rivalry going to possibly reignite tonight there on track?
I'm not quite sure how much he's going to race, but that would be fun. Yeah, that was a good one. I think a lot of people didn't really see a pit strategy in that race because they were used to a longer format, and I got a little bit lucky and caught everyone by surprise. And so did the winner actually as well. We were on the identical strategies, and we had decent pace, but I don't think we had ultimate pace. So that one's always enjoyable to win, just from pure strategy and seeing things in advance. But I don't think something like that can happen tonight, but I guess you never know.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be an adventure out there. I can't wait to see what happens here, and best of luck to you tonight, Thomas. Obviously, this is an opportunity that seems like it's going to fit into your wheelhouse and your repertoire pretty well.
Thank you. Yeah, I will do the best I can.
Yeah, good luck, Thomas, and hopefully we'll see you back in the booth after the show. It was Thomas Toomey, one of our road course experts here in the CIL. He's done very well. Obviously, has a history of success. He knows this track like the back of his hand. He knows this car very well, and I think we're going to see some good things out of him tonight. Possibly a podium finish, maybe even standing on top of the podium as well, locking himself into the playoffs.
Yeah, this could be a really big opportunity for him to find his way into the playoff picture. I mean, obviously he's not locked in at the moment, but this is a track that a lot of guys had circled. He's one of them. I'm sure Leaf is another one of those guys, Halterman even, where they know that they might find more success here than they would on the ovals, because a lot of the typical oval drivers do not spend nearly as much time at the Glen as people who also have that road course experience. So I have a feeling we're going to see a very interesting top 10 tonight than we normally do from like Nashville or Kentucky or something like that. We could see some new faces really shining here, depending on how much time they've spent practicing the ability to go fast, go in both directions.
Yeah, and a lot of these drivers have had this race circled for two completely different reasons. The chat for about the past 2 weeks here in the CIL Discord has been either that of dread, of, oh no, we're going to the Glen, or excitement. Yes, we're going to the Glen. This is my place to shine. I know how to road race these cup cars. I can do really well. But I think a lot of these drivers have been practicing for weeks because they've had this track living rent-free in their head for really ever since the schedule was released back towards the beginning of August. This is one of those tracks that definitely separates the boys from the men, for lack of a better term. If you're really good and you can manage your tires and you can understand the feedback coming from the car, you're going to be able to drive really well and you're going to do well. But this is also a track where one slight mistake can put you into the fence and your race is over.
Yeah, and it's such a fine line too, because not only is it so tough to balance the line between not wrecking and wrecking here at Watkins Glen, it's an even finer line between getting around this course and getting around it quickly. There's so much time that can be gained or lost just with the slight changes on how you enter and exit corners around here. And over the course of a lap, that'll really add up. So I have a feeling we'll see a couple of cars really get spread out from the rest of the field here once they understand those little nuances of this track. And I think we're going to see a number of our drivers tonight who are going to get that and really start pulling away from those who don't.
And you heard Toomey talk about just how critical lap 1 is. The opening lap of this race, the whole field is bunched together. You've got your nerves at the maximum. You've been practicing this track for weeks. This is it. All your hard work comes down to this. And it's just as easy to throw away the race after all that practice on lap 1 as it is at any other point in the race. But the starts, and if we see a full course caution, the restarts are going to be complete chaos here. And like Thomas said, it's a matter of surviving all of that. You've got to get through the incidents. You've got to keep your nose and your rear bumper clean. And then that's the only way that you'll be able to make the finish line.
Yeah, and especially on that first lap, that's going to be easier said than done. You might have it all planned out to exactly the way you want to do it, but someone behind you may not have the same idea of where that braking zone is, and then you're out of luck. So,
yeah, just a couple of rule changes actually for tonight that we want to go over. Our qualifying has been extended, so the drivers are going to get 10 minutes to complete their 3 laps, instead of 5, just because a lap here takes about takes over a minute and 10 seconds to complete. Full course yellows have been disabled. They will be manual only. So if race control sees a huge incident going into turn 1 or up the S's that poses a big threat for the drivers behind, then they're going to throw the full course yellow, get everybody slowed back down, re-racked, and start the race again. We will only see local yellows. So if you see a car Bennett going into the corner and they spin, then everybody else on track can stay racing, but the yellows are there just as a precaution. Something else different just about the nature of the track. This is a clockwise track. Yes, I had to think about it in my head. But the drivers will be pitting to drivers right instead of left. So pit road is going to be very, very hard here on the track. The fuel tank will last a maximum of 40 laps. So drivers will be required to pit at some point during the race. We're going to see if the undercut or the overcut work this time around. Not sure which. But the big strategy call for drivers on top of when to pit is going to be whether or not they take tires. We heard Thomas talking about how the tires weren't really as important. They don't get degraded as much on these road courses. So you can technically go the entire race without stopping for tires, and that'll shave about 8.5 seconds off of your pit stop.
Yeah, and there's a lot to be said for that. I mean, that was a situation I believe that we saw back in the spring when it was Halterman and Kaler battling it out for the win. They took different strategies on pit road, and that's how they got really bunched up toward the end. Because I believe the two of them were trying to chase down a Leaf, and then he got caught up in lap traffic. And then that pit strategy is what allowed Halterman and Kaler to get on by. But yeah, no, it's going to be – there's not going to be a huge window for pit strategy, but that's where it's going to come in is, do you take the tires and try and get that little bit of time back on track, or do you think you're not going to make up those 8 seconds over the course of the run on the older tires and you just leave them on and see what happens?
It's going to be some risky calls all the way around for our drivers, but we're excited to see how this is going to unfold. This is going to be one of the greatest shows this season. Going to be tight, intense, incredible, close quarters action all night long. And we've got only a few minutes. You can see 3 minutes until we take our break and get ready to go for the green flag. But before we get to our break, we're going to go over the point standings real quickly here. We went over our playoff standings beforehand, but now on our student and alumni competitions, Drew Jewah is currently leading the student championship over Andrew Williams. Clint Halterman is third, Duncan O'Connor fourth, Matt Morton fifth in that standings. On the student college side, Chattahoochee Tech currently has that title. UNC Charlotte running second there, Clemson third, Nova Scotia Community College in fourth, and Ball State University in fifth. On our alumni side, Timothy J. Moore is in the lead. Jake Cummings second, Major Monsivice in third, Colin Culpa fourth, Matthew J. O'Brien in fifth. Interesting to note that Culpa, our defending alumni champion, running fourth right there. He's 35 points off of the lead, tied for fifth with Matt O'Brien. And on our college side in the alumni division, Manhattanville College on top there, Wingate University second, Clemson third, Texas A&M International fourth, and Michigan Tech in P5. And I believe that is going to take us pretty close to the end of our pre-race show here on the Ignition Zone. So before we head out, we've made a short little highlight montage from last week's Music City 200. So enjoy that. We're going to take a quick break and be back in about 5-6 minutes or so to start our pre-race action. We'll see you guys then. But these drivers are about ready to go. It's Matthew Morton as the control car to the inside of Tim Robb. They're going to hit the gas in the restart zone. Barney throws the green, and it's time for some NASCAR in Nashville. And it looks like Ohio State. Matthew Morton, after trying over again, he dominated the summer season in our Gen 4 Cup Series, but for the first time this season in the next gen car, he is going to win at Nashville. Point in this race. It's going to be a long one tonight on distance, but here is the caution that brought it out, and making contact with the 43 of Sky Schreck from Oklahoma University, and he was able to keep it out of the wall, just a scrape. And lock himself into the playoffs. And it looks like Ohio State. Matthew Morton, after trying over again, he dominated the summer season in our Gen 4 Cup Series, but for the first time this season in the next gen car, he is going to win at Nashville and lock himself into the playoffs. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Collegiate iRacing League, where tonight our College Cup Series drivers will test their ability to turn both left and right on the twisting and turning Watkins Glen International. Tonight we're heading to the beautiful Finger Lakes region of New York State for the 110 at the Glen, our penultimate race in the College Cup Series regular season. We're running the no-boot cup layout of Watkins Glen International tonight, so there's 2.45 miles and 141 feet of 141 feet of elevation change on this winding, twisting road with long straightaways to tackle tonight. 11 turns on this layout, 7 to the right, 4 to the left, and 3 sectors for these drivers to navigate over the 45-lap, 110-mile race distance. The lap record currently belongs to Ball State's R. Muhammad Alif, who set a blistering 1 minute 10.689 second lap time back in the spring, the second time the College Cup Series came here, with the average lap times being in the high 111 range. Our main passing zones are the long downhill braking zone into turn 1, the entrance into the bus stop, turn 5, and the final corner in turn 11 back out onto the front stretch. And Alex, this is the race that many of our College Cup Series drivers have been dreading and practicing for weeks. These NASCAR next-gen cars are notoriously hard to race on road courses, despite their symmetric chassis and improvements made by NASCAR, but it always makes for incredible door-to-door fender-bending battles. And I'm thinking to last season's nail-biting finish between UNC Charlotte teammates Clint Halterman and reigning series champ Jared Kaler, a battle that came down to the last lap. And with only 2 races left in the regular season, this week and next week at Darlington, it's clutch time for a lot of our drivers who have yet to find victory lane this.
Yeah, this is probably, after the Superspeedway to start the season in Daytona, the second biggest wild card race in the regular season, because it is such a unique skill set compared to a lot of the other tracks that they go to over the course of the regular season here. We're seeing a lot of different drivers up front than what we would normally see on these oval tracks. A lot of guys who may have some oval experience, but extensive road experience, really being able to show off here through the practice sessions, getting ready for tonight's race. And, I mean, you can see from the Google Earth view here, not only is there a lot of height going up through the S's there on the top of your screen, but there's a couple of long straightaways and then the bus stop on the back end there. A lot of unique passing zones opportunities, and there's going to be a lot of high-speed straightaways going into very high braking zone corners, which not only creates a lot of opportunities to pass at this track, but is also going to create a lot of opportunities for chaos to follow in its wake.
Yeah, these drivers are going to be as slow as about 60, 65 miles an hour coming through turn 1, all the way up to about 175, 180 on the backstretch going into the famous bus stop that sequence turn 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way into the carousel turn 9. It's a very smooth, I think it's my favorite corner on the racetrack, of the on-camber, banked corner. It dumps you right back out onto the short chute before the final 2 turns on the track. But despite it's a gorgeous racetrack here in the forests of New York. It's very flowing, smooth, a lot of fun to drive, but it's very deceptively hard. So we're going to see a lot of the drivers that really know what they're doing set themselves apart in the early stages of this race, and some of the ones who maybe didn't do enough practicing falling off very quickly, or maybe even going behind the garage pretty soon.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those tracks where you'll see not only the level of skill, but the level of preparation that has gone into it over the past couple weeks. I already know from several drivers that they know they had a drop week, the work week, and to work with, and they said, this is going to be it. I don't have the time to try and figure out both the left and the rights, and I'm just gonna leave it at that, and I'll show back up for the regular season finale in Darlington. Mm-hmm. But we also, to that same point, have a couple of drivers from the Formula Series over on Wednesdays. They're making their way over. They're like, all right, bring on the road course. It's a different car, but might have an opportunity to get some extra reps in compared to some drivers who may not have that level of experience. So it's going to be one of the more interesting races to see who actually emerges up front and when. Because we know there's a couple of drivers to keep an eye on right off the bat, but we also might have a couple of surprises make their way up there as well.
Yeah, and I think for everybody involved, if you're very skilled in the next gen car on the ovals, or if you're coming from our Formula C, FIA, F4 car side of things, then there's a very, very steep learning curve on learning how to even be competent enough in this car to turn a lap. It's a very difficult, very hard, but very rewarding driving experience. Road racing in these next gen cars, you got to be very light on the brakes. You got to be extremely smooth with your steering. Use all the curbing that you can, especially in the middle of the corner, to get that car popped up and rotated, as well as very gentle on the throttle on exit. You really can't go full throttle in these cars until you've got everything hooked up exactly like you want it from car to track. Because if you hit the throttle even a half a second too soon, the back end of that car is going to go around and you're going to hit either the wall, the tire barriers, or another car, possibly.
Yeah, especially when it's going to be turn one, the threat of hitting another car is going to be drastically higher than any other corner of this track. Just for how wide that braking zone is. I mean, you're going to be going upwards over 140, 150 miles an hour, breaking it down to 60 or so. I mean, there's a lot of room to try and make up time if you want to try and be a hero and brake late into turn one. But it's also very possible to brake too late and go flying out the other side and end up the way Jimmy Johnson did back in the old Busch Series crash from the early 2000s or late 90s. I don't know if that was 99 or 2000, but I digress.
2000, yeah.
Yeah, either way, lots of opportunities for things to go wrong here at Watkins Glen, but a lot of opportunities for things to go right as well. And let's take a look here. I mean, we keep talking about this track, Zach. Let's take a look at what it actually looks like to run a lap here at Watkins Glen, because this is probably one of the more interesting qualifying laps we get to show everyone here over the course of the season here. And so this is just finding the right apex to hit the two corners on the ovals. Now there's all sorts of braking zones we get to talk about.
Yeah, qualifying is underway for our 110 at the Glen. We're going to see if we can catch one of the drivers out there on track at the moment and ride along with them. Yeah, I see a few cars out there at the moment. We're going to take a ride along with our Muhammad Alif in the number 12 Ball State machine. You can see coming out of turn 11 using all the exit curb, getting all the way to the wall. He's going to start his lap now. Look at this heavy downhill braking point, starting to hit the brakes even before you get to the boards, using all of that apex curb washing. How far off the track he is. No track limits here in the NASCAR Cup Series. And look how loose that car is coming up the S's through turns 2, 3, and 4 out onto the backstretch. Now it's full throttle, pedal to the metal, nearing 160, 180 miles an hour into the braking point for the bus stop, getting all four wheels off the ground on that turn 5 curb, getting that thing as straight as possible through the bus stop into the carousel of turn 9, using all of the apex, hugging the very bottom of that track, washing out all the way outside of track limits through turn 9 down to the short chute into turns 10 and 11, a quick left right-hand curb or right-hand corners to end the lap. Going all the way to the inside curb, washing out. Going to try and get a good setup into turn 12, wide on the exit later of an apex. Going to wash all the way out to the wall, barely clipping it to finish his lap. And that is going to put him on pole position at the moment. But we're going to take another lap on board and let you listen to just how great this car sounds going around this track. And look at how close he got to that inside guardrail going into 5.
I mean, you can see how much it seems like on these qualifying laps, he's taking that car right to the edge of where he can control it and then wrangling it in from there. And you can see how loose that car is becoming because of it, but how much extra speed he can carry by not trying to baby it through the corners. Really good for the qualifying laps. Definitely during the race, it's a little tougher to do. As
Whoa, big slide.
Away is a big wiggle coming through turn 11 there. Nearly put him into the wall, but he kept it off, finished the lap, and as we mentioned earlier, provisional pole as he currently stands.
Yeah, didn't improve on his second lap. He currently is in the pole position at the moment. Matt Moore right behind him. Alif ran a 11.14. Morton with an 11.2. Drew Jewah in third with an 11.4. And fourth actually goes to Logan Clampett as well. So a lot of big names inside the top five that we see even on the oval side. But our Muhammad Alif just dominant right now in qualifying.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the people we were expecting to see up front. I mean, we know he has what it takes to get it done. Just missed out on it last year. He was the fastest car through the early part of that race. We keep talking about that great finish between Halterman and Kaler. The only reason that came to fruition was because Alif got wiped out by lap traffic with about 10-15 laps to go, which brought Halterman and Kaler to the first two positions. Had that not happened, Alif would have ran away with it. And I think he is another safe pick to, if not win, definitely podium here tonight.
I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I'm picking our Muhammad Alif to win, barring something absolutely insane happening like the lap traffic incident of last season. I think Alif, he was so good in practice. He's just phenomenal in Formula C with the three Grand Prix lead at the moment that he has. He's got yes, he is 153 points in the lead over Thomas Toomey right now.
Wow.
After last week's German GP, and that was 7 races into the season. So unprecedented dominance for him on our road side of things. So it only makes sense for him to come over to the Cup side when we have the road race. Of course, he's running a full-time schedule over in the Cup as well, but to dominate the road race as well. I think that number 12 for Ball State's going into victory lane tonight.
You know, that is a really good pick. I'm going to have to go with the guy who has I believe it's like a 75% win rate so far in his CIL career, and that is Logan Clampett from Cal State Fullerton. Had the bail out of last week's race due to not feeling too well. Had to leave early due to illness. But in 3 races he's finished, he's won. And I know the road courses present a very unique challenge, but with that kind of win-loss record so far, in a sport where you do more losing than winning, having a record where you've won more than you've lost, that says a lot, and I think Clampett's going to be my pick today if Alif's off the board.
Two very quick picks indeed, so we're going to see who takes the checker flag after all is said and done. Qualifying is over, so our grid is set. The drivers are warming up for race pace before we get racing here in the 110 at the Glen. But pole position officially goes the way of Ball State and our Muhammad Alif with a 111.139. Matt Morton with a 111.2 will secure the second position to Alif's outside. Drew Jewah in third. Logan Clampett fourth. Clint Halterman rounds out the top 5. Matthew O'Brien will start 6th, Thomas Toomey 7th, Andrew Williams 8th, Jake Wiest 9th, rounding out the top 10, Jake Cummings. So a lot of heavy hitters are going to start on top of the grid tonight, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, we had an opportunity to talk to Jake Cummings not too long ago, and he was saying how he really felt like that momentum was starting to build for him and for that whole Wingate program as the season's been going on. Starting up front here with a lot of really big names, an opportunity to really duke it out, get some work done early, and put himself in position to potentially win this thing.
Yeah, expecting big things out of that Wingate driver. He's mounting his run into the playoffs. I got to check and see, but I believe he is just barely on the outside looking in if he's not the cutoff driver coming into today's race. Yes, he is the cutoff driver as it stands in our playoff standings coming into this race. Just a quick rundown of those. Drew Jewah, Matt Morton, Tim Moore, Matt O'Brien, and Logan Clampett have locked themselves in by virtue of winning. Logan Clampett with 3 wins to his name this season. Matt Morton 2, and the rest have 1. Out of the drivers that have not locked themselves in but will point their way in as it stands now, Clint Halterman, Tim Robb, Drew Williams, Duncan O'Connor, and Jake Cummings are cut-off driver. Looking just below the cut line in, Colin Culpa, our reigning alumni champion from Indiana University, 8 points to the negative right now. Dylan Gadina is 19 points below the cut line. Muhammad Alif, who's starting on pole tonight, 36 points down. Athena Leclerc, 50 points down in 14th. And Austin DeLong needs 56 points on Cummings to lock his way in on points. Or a win. Because really, any of our about top 25, 30-ish drivers, if they win tonight's race, they can get into the playoffs.
Yeah, and a couple of those guys that you mentioned who are below the cut line, I feel like would be really good picks to keep an eye on tonight. To win or at least get a really good result here, maybe a top 10, maybe even top 5. I mean, we have a lot of really talented road course drivers in this field tonight. Will just be a matter to see who actually takes advantage. Obviously, Alif in good position on pole, but there's more than just him, and we will take a look at them here in just a moment because I do believe it is time to take a look at tonight's starting grid for this 110 at the Glen.
Pole position goes to Ball State and Muhammad Alif. To his outside, Matt Morton from Ohio State University. Looking at row 2, it's going to be Jewah from Chattahoochee Tech and Logan Clampett from Cal State Fullerton in P3 and P4. Row 3, Clint Halterman from UNC Charlotte, our defending race winner, to the inside of Matt O'Brien from Michigan Tech, looking to secure another good finish tonight. Row 4, a couple of OWR teammates, Thomas Toomey from UVA, Andrew Williams from Clemson University, both of them looking for their first win this season. And row 5, our top 10, Jake Wiest from UNC Charlotte and Jake Cummings from Wingate University.
Rolling off in row 6, it is Lucas Moody from Ball State and Hunter Hadesti from Clemson making his, I believe, his first start on the oval side tonight, so a little road course ringer action from Clemson. Row 7, it's Ricky Paz from Valparaiso alongside Tim Robb from American University. Row 8, Jared Kaler from UNC Charlotte and Athena Leclerc from St. Clair College. Row 9, it's going to be Tim Moore from Manhattanville College alongside Mark Turek from the Penn College of Technology making his Cup Series debut tonight. Duncan O'Connor from the Nova Scotia Community College, so close a week ago, rolling off in row 10 alongside Austin DeLong from the Penn College of Technology.
Jason Wallet from Drexel University will roll off the inside of row 11. Andrew Burrell will start to his outside for Clemson University. Colin Culpa from Indiana, the reigning alumni champion, got some work to do tonight as he's going to roll off on row 12 to the inside of Michael Seidor from Penn Tech. Major Monsivice from Texas A&M International will start with Andrew Stagey from Ball State University on row 13. Row 14 consists of Brandon Schulenberger from Wingate and Ball State University's Kelton Quick. And row 15, rounding out our top 30, Edward Sanchez from Baruch College and Timothy Williams from Drexel University.
And the remaining grid tonight, Nick Stockner from Clemson alongside Garrett Vighton from Arizona State in row 16. Row 17 will be Dylan Godinez from the Penn College of Technology alongside Sky Schreck from the University of Oklahoma. Row 18 is Tristan Leclerc from St. Clair College alongside Zach Tallman from PCT. Row 19, it'll be Ethan Decatur from Valparaiso alongside Spencer Brown from UNC Charlotte. And row 20, the last car on the grid tonight, rolling off 39th, it'll be Nathan Inman from Clemson University.
Noticing a lot of Penn College of Technology and Clemson drivers in the field tonight. Ball State, too. The teammates possibly helping out tonight. We're going to see when everything is settled and done. But we've got 45 laps of road course ringer racing here in the CIL. 2 races left until we cut to our top 10 playoff drivers. Who's going to make their way in? Who's going to use tonight's race as their way to lock themselves into the playoffs? It's going to be Muhammad Alif at the point, leading the field to the green. The pace car makes its way onto pit road, and Alif hits the gas early. Barney throws the green, and we're road racing in the Cup Series.
And here they go, trying to navigate turn 1. Drew Williams, I think, really launched it down there in the turn 1. He's into the tire barriers. However, he looked to be the only car who overshot by that much. Alif gets through cleanly with Morton behind. Then it's Jewah, Clampett, and Halterman all battling out inside the top 5. But Drew Williams looked like an absolute torpedo going into turn 1 and nearly paid the ultimate price for it.
Yeah, he completely missed the breaking point into 1. I think everybody ahead of him played it more conservatively, getting on the brakes a little earlier just to be sure that they made it, which was the smart move. But Williams just completely blew through the corner. I think he even got the grass. A little drone cam following the 23 on the start of the race. as we're going to take a look at that incident, but I think he just barely clipped the wall trying to get that car slowed down. You can see, yeah, there, panic setting in. He gets into the grass, lucky to keep that car straight, got it almost slowed down and just bounces off the tire barrier. So damage for the 23 car, a disaster of a start there for Clemson University, as Williams was really hoping to get something done tonight, as our Muhammad Alif is going to lead the first lap of 45 in our 110 at the Glen.
Yeah, Drew Williams also really lucky he didn't collect Matt O'Brien in that as well. O'Brien nearly caught the edge of Williams as he went flying on by there. So the Michigan Tech machine happy to still be running inside the top 7 here as they score. Our Muhammad Alif in control after lap 1. He's got a near 7/10 advantage over Matt Morton. And then it is still Clampett, Jewah, and Halterman behind with Toomey O'Brien. Moody already on the move up 3 places. Cummings and Wiest rounding out the top 10 after the first lap here. But we're already seeing through these opening couple laps here, this field's starting to get spread out from those who really know how to maximize this track and those who are just holding on for dear life right now.
Couple of things to note about tonight's race. Differences in the rules. There will be no full course yellows unless manually thrown by race control. And I think we've seen the interval for those track blocker crashes out of the way. So we're going to have local yellows only. So if we see a car spin around or go off track or hit the wall, we're not going to see a caution. Everybody around them will be able to keep racing. Something else that these drivers something that these drivers need to have at the back of their minds is this is a clockwise track. As you see, ouch, major months of ice getting sent around.
There with Schulenberger, yeah.
Schulenberger.
041 gets loose, and then the 7 finishes the job there when the 041 was sideways across what's a rather narrow part of track there. So tough break there for the Texas A&M International driver, but you know, with only the local yellows, if you spin and you can keep driving, you just got to get back on your horse and go back at it because the field isn't going to stop for you.
And like I was saying, coming to pit road is going to be really hard for these drivers too. It's a relatively low speed corner on pit entry, but these drivers will be pitting to drivers right instead of drivers left due to the nature of this course. So different pit calls or different pit strategy for these drivers getting in and out. So they've got to make sure that they can do so very smoothly. Looking at Timothy Wilms here at the bottom right hand of your screen, somebody has spun in front of him. I think that's Spencer and head on into the tire barrier. Goes to 86 for Drexel. That is probably going to finish his day very early.
It looked like Spencer Brown, who was slow in the middle of the track, and then Tim Wilms catches the wrong end of the tire barriers there going down the short chute and just... The engine's gone on that car. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, that was a hard hit, even by tire barrier standards. You saw the car almost completely flip over, but I think it flipped almost all the way across the track before he came to a stop. So that will finish the day for that Drexel machine. So he'll be getting towed back to pit road pretty soon to cheer on his teammate Jason Wallet in the 76 car, who currently runs 19th, I believe.
Yeah, up about a place or two, I think, from where he initially started this race, but still plenty of work to do there for the Drexel machine. Back up front here, Matt Morton hasn't let Alif get away just yet, but the two of them have really opened up a gap back to Clampett. It's over 2 seconds between second and third right now, so a little 2-car tango action up front before the rest of the field tries and follows.
And Andrew Williams has fallen from 8th to 25th place by virtue of missing turn 1. But Clampett coming down pit road. What is this?
We'll have to see what happened there. But in the interim, though, that will move Halterman up to third with Toomey and O'Brien now inheriting 4th and 5th. Toomey, though, really within striking distance here on Halterman. That battle's several seconds back behind the leaders, but the 166 from Virginia really kind of taking a look at the back bumper here, that UNC Charlotte machine, and might be looking to make a move here coming out of the S's.
Got another incident to review down here at the bottom. That's the 88 of Andrew Stagey for Ball State. We're riding with the drone cam behind him, and he just loops it going into turn 9. We mentioned during the Ignition Zone pre-race show that one little mistake can cost you the race, and I think that little mistake cost him about 3 or 4 positions on track.
Yeah, it certainly looked like it. And looking farther a little on back, Matt O'Brien might be looking to the inside of Toomey here as they make their way in toward turn 10. The battle from 3rd through 6th looking, or I guess it would be more 4th through 6th now, looking pretty close on track there as they all make their way out of turn 11. But they are losing time every lap to the leaders here as Morton starting to slowly get settled in behind the Ball State machine there in a Leaf.
Yeah, Morton ran about a 10th quicker lap time than a Leaf that time by, but that battle for 4th really heating up right now. Clint Halterman 4 seconds back from the battle for the lead at the moment, but he's got a mirror full of Thomas Toomey, Matt O'Brien, Drew Jewah, and Lucas Moody right behind them too. So about a 3-4 car battle for the 3rd position at the moment. Look, riding on board with Muhammad Alif right now. There he is in the Ball States Esports Center, gloves on, dialed in. Look at the focus in his eyes as he's wheeling this 4,500-pound cup car around this road course.
Yeah, and you can look at the demeanor, very calm behind the wheel right now. No stress that he's in the lead with Morton still kind of in his mirror. He's just going about his business, hitting his marks, and keeping that number 12 moving right along here as they're about to make their way across the stripe to start lap 7 of this 45-lap race. So definitely a cool customer up there up front right now in Muhammad Alif in the Ball State Esports Center.
Now watch his eyes. Look at where he looks depending on where he is at track. He comes out of the corner. He's going to check the relatives, see how far Morton is behind him, but his eyes are following the course of the track. He is not blinking at all. Finding every apex and exit, focusing on exactly where he needs to point the car, get onto the straightaway, maybe check the relatives in the mirror one more time. Yep. And getting into the bus stop, find the apex, get as close to that inside wall as you can. Yeah. Gosh, that is terrifying. But perfectly over the apexes and the curbs, get the car settled into 9. One more quick check of the box through the chicane and washing all the way out, completely outside of track limits, which is okay here in the Cup Series as he comes out onto the short chute. Take a quick deep breath to get ready for the final 2 turns on the circuit. Getting it nice and rotated through turn 10, set up for turn 11. And that is a lap at Watkins Glen, looking in the cockpit of Muhammad Alif in more ways than one.
Yeah, nice easy drive there for him so far, but maybe a little too easy here as now Matt Morton closed in within 3/10. He's starting to really get a little bit bigger in that back bumper there of Muhammad Alif as they have to circumnavigate some lap traffic there. That is Nick Stockner from Clemson who was re-emerging back on track right as they tried getting into turn 2. That 124 probably took Morton off his preferred line just for a little bit. Oh, that's well, we know why the 124 was in pit lane. That was heavy contact there with Tristan Leclerc from St. Clair. I think that's the 49 car. So rough circumstance there. You can see in the bottom of your screen as they try to make their way into turn 1 and how this just doesn't seem, or this is actually, this is coming off of turn 1. Just both drivers running out of room.
Looks like both of them were fighting for the same piece of real estate. Stockner thought Leclerc was going to be a little further out than he actually was. And Leclerc didn't use as much of the exit curb as Stockner thought he was going to use, and the two made contact, and that put Stockner really hard into the wall. Luckily, he was able to get that car back around. I'm not sure if he came down to pit road already, but that's going to be some serious front-end damage to both that St. Clair and the Clemson machines.
Yeah, we're looking a little deeper into the field now. This is the battle of 17th through 20th. It is Duncan O'Connor there in that blue 34, but the battle we're keeping an eye on right now, Colin Kolpa has a mirror full of Austin DeLong as they make their way down the front stretch. That red 100 from Indiana now trying to defend against Austin DeLong. Almost a little contact there coming out of the corner. DeLong really didn't want to have to back out of that, but Kolpa kind of forced his hand in order to do so. Nearly contact between the two drivers, but DeLong will now get reset and will try to charge back in onto the back bumper of that Indiana machine after the close call in 1. He's definitely not done yet, looking to take away that 18th position away from one of the favorites in the alumni division so far this season. Yeah,
and the results of that contact between the 124 and the 49. that was deemed a netcode incident. So neither driver actually made contact with the other, but the game thinks they did and calculated the physics accordingly. So the stewards have decided no further action there. But yeah, using all the curb and then some for DeLong, as he's going to lose out on that battle with the 100 of Culpa and possibly fall into the clutches of the 888 of Andrew Burrell from Clemson University, as he's got a couple cars behind him. I think that was a Wingate car. But now looking back up, this is a little further on back up towards the front of the field. I believe this is Matt O'Brien and Drew Jewah going at it. This is the battle for the 5th position. You can see nose to tail there, those two cars, Michigan Tech and Chattahoochee Tech. Down the back straightaway, who's going to be later on the brakes? Is Jewah going to look to the inside? No. He's going to stay right behind O'Brien, possibly forcing O'Brien into a mistake. Jewah racing it very, very smart there at the moment.
Yeah, he's just biding his time right now, waiting for that opportunity to strike. Watkins Glen is very much a track where you can set your pass up a corner before and then really get that run going into the next one and make it happen. So not a huge need to try and force the issue just yet from Drew Jewah. He's now just kind of settling in. As you see Stockner really loose behind them. That car already had some damage, and I think he may have went around there coming off of turn 10, but a little tough to tell as that was not what the camera was focused on at the time. But that 124 seems to not be having a great time here tonight in the Finger Lakes of Watkins Glen.
And things go from bad to worse for Stockner. Involved in the incident on lap 6. He was involved in an incident on lap 5 where he is going to get a drive-through penalty for completely missing a corner and I guess running into somebody else. But also an incident on lap 1 to note. The 15, the 28, and the 88 all involved in an incident that was deemed a racing incident on the first corner of the first lap. I think that actually sent the 15 around, but everybody else able to make it through relatively unscathed.
Yeah, now we're tuning back into this battle that we were watching a little bit earlier. DeLong has since found his way past Colin Culpa, now trying to chase down the 34 of Duncan O'Connor as he looks to the inside, maybe going through the carousel. Closed right on up to the back bumper of the 34 as they make their way off the corner. Nova Scotia Community College trying to pull away here from the Penn College of Technology, but DeLong not letting them get away that easily. As they make their way into turn 10, they will be lockstep through the corner. Colin Culpa trailing about 2 car lengths behind. As they make their way around through turn 11 back toward the front stretch, O'Connor will hold on to 17th for now, but he's definitely got company when they make their way into 1.
4-car battle right now. I believe this is for the 17th position. Yeah, Duncan O'Connor, P17, all the way back to Andrew Burrell, P20. So some valuable points on the line for all these drivers before we start thinking about pit stops. But while we have a quick lull in the action, the fuel tank can only last up to 40 laps, and that's with some pretty conservative fuel saving. So these drivers are going to have to pit at some point during the race. Technically, the window is open to make it to the end, so we could see some drivers coming in as early as the next 5 or 6 laps or so to try and do an undercut to get to the end. But another strategy point to think about for these pit stops is the tire wear on this track is little to none at all. These drivers can use their tires for the entirety of the incident, and that can save a lot of time during a pit stop if you don't have to change tires and go fuel only. So just a few things to think about during this race for these drivers. When am I going to pit, and what am I going to do when I pit as well?
Yeah, but that also, I think, hinges a lot on how much you take care of your tires throughout this race. It may not be an overly aggressive tire wear track by itself, but if you keep trying to, make aggressive moves all around the track and putting your car in positions it was not necessarily built to try and do, it might wear those tires down enough where you might want to think about taking them. But obviously, that will depend on the driving style of each person we come on board with here. So this battle here between O'Connor and DeLong looks to have cooled off for just a moment, though. Although looking back up front, Matt Morton, he's still just right in the tire tracks of our Muhammad Alif. That gap, once it got down to about 0.3 of a second, hasn't really wavered all that much since.
Yeah, the battle's kind of broken up a little bit, but this battle for the lead up at the front, man, this is still holding on strong. Matt Morton has clawed his way back to the front bumper of R. Muhammad Alif. Ball State still out in the lead of this race, but Ohio State right behind as Morton gets a great run out of turn one. Alif with a little bit of a slip coming out of the corner as Morton got to his bumper just a little bit, but had to lift due to the dirty air through the S's. That gap now back up to 0.3 and holding right there. We're going to see if Morton can do anything with the draft. Going into the bus stop doesn't show an attack there, just a bit too far for him to do anything. But Alif now coming under pressure from Morton as they're going to have to start navigating lap traffic here in the next couple laps or so.
Yeah, when we know from the spring race that through no fault of his own, lap traffic was the downfall of Alif in the spring race. He ran the line the way he needed to, but the cars ahead of him caught a lot of curb in the bus stop and ended up collecting the both of them. So that's definitely something that I'm sure that he's going to be mindful of as they approach this car coming up here. I think that's Tristan Leclerc, one of the cars who was involved in that netcode incident earlier with Stockner. And both of these cars are going to really have to try and figure out how to traverse this in the best way possible because they're about to catch him at a really bad point here coming off of turn one.
Yeah, I think the S's is probably the worst possible spot you can catch lap traffic, and Leclerc going to pull out of the way, doing the responsible thing to let the leaders by. But when you're trying to go too wide through the S's, especially in these cup cars, it just doesn't work. It's very hard with as light as these cars are coming through the off-camber turns of 3 and 4. The cars are very light. They don't have a lot of weight on the tires relative to the rest of the track. So any little steering input you make is going to make a huge difference in the balance of that car. And one little mistake can put you in the wall as they're going to go around a Penn College car. That's the 71 of Zach Tallman to continue this battle for the lead. Matt Morton still holding right at about 0.2, 0.3, just playing with the back bumper of Alif. Can't quite get there because of the dirty air. But I think if he gets a good run out of turn 11 down the front stretch, he might have a whack at it going into turn 1 here.
Yeah, it's R. Muhammad Alif in the 12 crossing the stripe, only a car length back to Matt Morton. Now looking to the inside maybe, cut back in, elected against it there. Both of these cars, black and red, representing schools from the Ohio Midwest kind of area. So a little bit of a maybe an unspoken of rivalry here between these two. And they both know how to get it done here in the CIL, and they're both putting on an absolute clinic right now. They've pulled out to nearly a 6-second gap over Clint Halterman, who currently runs third as he's battling with lap traffic there way back on the backstretch. But these two up front, they just continue to hit their marks as Morton really swung that thing out of the bus stop. He's going to lose some time there for how much that car drifted. But he's going to try and rally right back up to the back bumper here. Anytime it seems like there's an opening for Morton, Alif's able to close it up. And anytime Morton seems to make a mistake, Alif gets a little bit of separation, but then that gap starts to close right back up. These two cars have been glued to each other since the moment the green flag dropped tonight.
Well, Alif also has the leader's advantage in that he's got the clean air and the lane choice. He can go, drive, defend wherever he wants to, but it's Morton's job to go around Alif. So he's got to either get a really good, really good run off the exit of one of these corners going onto a straightaway, or he's got to wait for Alif to make a mistake as we're going to go side by side. Battle for the lead on the top, but down low. This is going to be, I believe, the 074 of Timothy Moore going at it with, is that the 5 of Tim Robb? Yes.
Yeah, a little Tim on Tim battling here. This is a little farther back into the field. This is the battle for 15th as they currently run. But yeah, both these drivers trying to get every point they can muster here in the early going. Tim Robb trying to find his way past Tim Moore, but right now Moore holding on the 15th and has slowly but surely started moving that car forward. He qualified, I think, a little farther back, but he's gained a few positions since the drop of the green flag.
I do want to call attention. Look who's busted his way up into the top 10. Hunter Haddisty, the road course ringer from Clemson University, able to take 10th away from Ricky Paz. Jared Kaler also climbing his way up the field. I believe he started about 15th. He started 15th. He's worked his way up to 12th now. So some guys working their way up through the field now in the middle stages of this race.
Yeah, and we are already, past the 1/3 mark of this race, and if people are thinking about splitting this race in half, that pit window probably is coming up in less than 10 laps here if you're trying to cut this thing evenly. So already a question that's on the mind of some of these drivers, and with no full course cautions and just local yellows, it keeps the pace of this thing moving really quickly. And because of it, I think drivers are going to have a lot less time than they realize figuring out that pit strategy as this race develops, especially for guys who might be in the back half of the top 10. How do you try and make the pit road work for you to gain a couple positions if you're a guy like Lucas Moody or Jacob Weiss, Jake Cummings, Hunter Hidesti? There's a lot of time still to race, but with how quick the pace of this thing has been going, you can't get too comfortable just logging laps, because at some point here, you're going to need to plan out what you're going to do differently than the guys around you in order to take advantage on pit road.
Oh, who is that? Drew Williams went way past. That was an Oklahoma car. I think that might have been Sky Shrek. But a big lockup for Oklahoma there going into turn one, as Williams is going to walk away with that position relatively easily. That still is in the 20s. Yeah, that's 29th right now for Williams. So even after his incident in race one, he fell off with a few more spots. His lap one incident took him back to 25th, and he's now running 29th. Just got around Sky Shrek for that position as well. So either he's already come in for his pit service, or just a day to forget for Williams, one of our, playoff contenders.
Yeah, and, that's something that he's got plenty of time to try and undo it, but sitting 29th here in a race that's only 45 laps long, you've got your work cut out for you trying to get back into a serviceable position. Speaking of serviceable positions, looking a little farther ahead in the field, you get this trio of Colin Kolpa, Andrew Burrell, and Austin DeLong, who's now back in 19th after he made his way past Kolpa. Something must have happened to the 22 here where he dropped off a couple of positions, because now he is back behind the 888 and the 100 and has some work to do to get past both of them if he wants to get back to where he was running previously. So far, all these cars have been kind of marred back into that 15th to 20th area so far this race and haven't really been able to escape that zone.
Way wide right there for Colin Kolpa, and a car in the grass. I think that was Tristan Leclerc for St. Clair College. Once again, running into the problem of two different Leclercs as Kolpa pulls into the pits on lap 20. So we're starting to see some pit strategy coming out now as the 22 of DeLong look to the inside of Andrew Burrell in that 888 machine there into turn one. A few cars coming off of pit road, their service complete. As we're going to look at Colin Kolpa in that 100 Indiana University car, he is going to take tires. So Kolpa finds that the pace differential on the new tires is going to be worth staying in and taking 4 fresh Goodyears. He's going to get out of his pit box nice and easy, but you've got to stay under pit road speed as the exit of pit road is downhill, which makes it pretty challenging for these drivers as he is going to go one lap down from the leaders. There you see them go at the bottom of your screen.
Yeah, so when he came down pit road, he entered it from the 17th position. He'll roll back off 28th. So we'll see if the early pit for tires will work out in his favor. He knows he needs to make up 11 positions to get back to where he was running. But everyone around him, for the most part, will still need to come down pit road. You can't make it all the way on fuel unless you basically coasted the entire track half the race, when then you're going to find yourselves laps down just from sheer lack of pace. So everyone will have an opportunity to cycle through, which may work in Colin Kolpa's favor if he doesn't lose too much time for that decision to take tires. As Burrell and DeLong make contact in the turn one. Man. Into the tire wall goes Burrell. He looks like he's able to get going here. Haven't seen DeLong yet. He's now finally starting to get rolling. But that was an absolute nightmare for both drivers. Fierce battling down the front stretch. Little bit of contact in a very vulnerable position for both of those cars. And around they go at a rather high speed into the turn one runoff.
Looks like Burrell might have walked out the better of the two, but both of those cars making very hard contact with the tire barrier. In one, you can see the front end of the 22 smashed in just a little bit, some heavy left side damage to that 888 car. And I think we're probably going to see both of those cars come down pit road this time, if not next time. But disaster striking for both of those cars. We're going to try and take a look and see just exactly what happened there on lap 22 of this race.
Yeah, that'll be a replay worth seeing for sure, as we kind of caught them right as they were making their way down the front stretch. Here we go. So we have Andrew Burl in that purple car in the 888, DeLong in the blue 22. He got a fair bit of separation going into turn one, but brakes early. DeLong tried really driving and then deep, just clipped the rear corner. And that spin going sideways actually, I think, slowed down Burl's momentum enough where he didn't make heavy contact with the wall. DeLong went straight on into that tire barrier, and we can definitely see the effects of that on the front of his car now as he's running with that big cave-in on the hood.
It's very easy to do that sort of thing, that lockup into turn one, with it being downhill, one of the heaviest braking zones on the track. As now the battle for the lead is on. Matthew Morton shows his hand. He wants the lead before they come in for pit service. But Muhammad Alif is going to run a little wide out of turn one, eats the 1X for track limits, and is going to walk away with the lead for the time being. Matthew Morton staying right with him, though. This battle has been exactly like this since the start of the race, and that is the closest to the lead we have seen that Ohio State car.
It'll be interesting to see what happens with Drew Williams here. I believe he's still on the lead lap, but may not be for long here if these two guys have anything to say about it. Looks like Williams will actually let him go on by, so the leaders will continue their battle up front, and you can see the gap. It is maybe a foot between the back bumper of Alif's machine and the front nose of that Ohio State car for Matthew Morton. Really closes in there in turn 10. Looks to go to the inside, coming off the corner. Almost a bit of contact. They'll be side by side going into 11. Alif will drive it in deep. Morton looking to get on the switchback. Not able to carry the throttle through 11, though, with that really tight position for both drivers. Alif, by the slimmest of margins, will hold on to the lead here. But Matt Morton is charging, and he is charging in a hurry here on lap 24.
Matt Morton right now very much the better of those two cars, but Alif putting on a defensive masterclass right now to maintain that lead for as long as we can, as we have officially crossed the halfway point of this race. Matt Morton still about 3 1/4 tenths back from the back bumper of Alif. Can't, just a bit too far back to make a move into the bus stop this time, but he has been so good in the second sector of this track that Morton is actually right there. Once again, he got 1/10.5 through the bus stop, runs a little bit wider through turn 9, going to take a higher speed line way off of the track out of turn 9, using all the momentum to get to the back bumper of Alif. He's got the run. Is he going to make the attempt here into turn 10? No, not that time. Can he set something up for turn 11? Both of those cars are completely sideways out of 10, and it doesn't look like Morton is going to be able to put together something into turn 11, but is gaining time right now on Alif. The 12 of Ball State goes defensive into turn 1. He sees the move coming. It's Morton to the outside. Can't quite get the move to stick. Attempts the crossover. Is he going to have the inside line for the S's? No. The battle continues.
An incredible job there from Alif. He knew taking the inside line would swing him wide, so he takes turn 1 about as fast as he could, but also while hugging that curb through turn 1. Closed off the lane that Morton looked to go to. He had the run going down the backstretch, or down the side from 1 to 2, but Morton not able to capitalize on it here. The back Morton nearly loses it. He caught a lot of bumper, or a lot of curb right off the back bumper there of Alif. Morton will save it, but there will temporarily end that fierce battle for the lead. Matt Morton was so close to taking the lead away from Alif, but now things will cool down for a second here. That gap expanding out to over 1 3/10 seconds. And with the way they've been driving, it might take some time for Morton to catch back up in there. So this might be the time to come down pit road for either of these drivers, now that there's a bit of a gap.
Once again, a little mistake can ruin everything you worked so hard for, and in that case, Matt Morton just a simple little error coming out of the bus stop, and he puts another second between him and Alif, and he's got all that much more work to do. But we got to give him credit for an incredible save as we're going to ride along with the Ohio State driver. You can see him just ate a bit too much curb in turn 7, that last left-hander in the bus stop, and that sent the car a little too loose, and he was really on a direct course for that outside wall, but a great job getting that thing slowed down and corrected to be able to even continue this race for him.
Yeah, and one thing that you pointed out earlier, Zach, that continues to ring true even now with the separation, there is something when, with the exception of the one lap there where Morton almost lost it coming out of the bus stop, he is running the bus stop a lot faster. Is right there. I think Athena Leclerc actually clipped the wall through the S's. Yeah, Jason Wallet now with a huge run down the backstretch. Will he make it side by side going into the bus stop? Not this time around. He'll just linger on behind Leclerc, waiting for an opening to present itself, but it nearly came through the S's. When the 61 clipped a little bit of the fence, got checked up, and the 76, if there was any more width to this track, may have been able to capitalize.
Yeah, Wallet really wanted that move. He wanted to be able to get alongside Athena Leclerc going into the bus stop, but just ran out of asphalt. Great defending from Athena to prevent the capitalization on that mistake. But yeah, it's very easy, like we mentioned in earlier towards the show. Those S's are all off-cambered corners once you start coming up the hill. So the car gets very loose, it gets very light, it's hard to control, and looks like she just washed out a bit too much, clipped the wall coming up the hill, and she is going to stop in and make her pit stop for the race to try and fix that damage, I would assume, because she smacked that wall pretty good. It bounced the car up in the air.
That it did. But meanwhile, back on track here. This is the battle for 9th as they run. Ricky Paz there in the 19 for Valparaiso, and one of Jared Kaler there running through the bus stop on behind. Ricky Paz having himself a great evening so far. Qualified inside the top 12, and the leaders are on pit road now. We'll get back to that thought on Ricky Paz in just a moment here, but we got to see how this pit battle unfolds. Will they go with tires? Will they just go with fuel? Let's find out. They are the last two pit stalls on pit road. Let's see how this one's going to shake out. They are both hard into their boxes. Will there be any mistakes?
And they both stop at the exact same time. Alif's car goes up first. Morton's does not. Morton does not take tires, and he's going to get off a pit road first and leave Alif in the dust. Alif took tires. Matthew Morton did not, and that's going to give Morton about a 6-7 second advantage over Alif. Was that the race-winning call? We're going to find out in the next 20 laps or so, but what a gutsy call from that Ohio State team to take the lead away from Ball State.
Cut the race exactly in half. They came down at the end of lap 27. So that opening stint, they were basically dead even except for that slight mishap out of the bus stop by Morton. But he's able to make up that gap and more, going with the no tire strategy on pit road versus Alif getting 4 fresh ones. Will the new tires be able to bring the 12 back up to the 13, or will Morton be able to hold on? We'll see as this race develops, but currently running in 7th and 10th respectively, although that has cycled Clint Halterman to the lead as they run.
And I know I was looking at the tower a few laps ago. Thomas Toomey was about 4.5 tenths away from the back bumper of Halterman, but that gap has now grown to 1.8 seconds and is slowly gaining. So Halterman came under pressure from Toomey there for half a second and then decided to run away for a little bit, but Halterman is going to go another lap on these tires. But the cycled out leaders have come in. They made their service. Matthew Morton with the pit strategy call to take no tires felt like he didn't need it, which is not the way that I thought that would go. As you see Alif fighting possibly some colder tires on that old compound as well. And you see Morton just behind, that's another Ball State teammate. I believe that's
Lucas Moody,
Lucas Moody behind him, and he's in a gaggle of cars fighting for position too.
I was watching that bottom screen there, and the reason I got onto the edge of my seat a little bit there, one of the Penn College of Technology cars that are currently off the, not off the pace, but we're running a bit slower than Paz and Kaler there, was a little off kilter through the S's, and Paz nearly ran into the back of him. Kaler tried to make the pass happen through the middle of the S's, and all three of them nearly wiped out, but they've got it sorted. But to finish that thought I had on Ricky Paz a moment ago, it's nice to see him having a pretty solid run here, qualified in the top 12, still running in that top grouping, as well as it looked like Matt O'Brien bringing it down pit road now. So that'll cycle these two cars up into 6th and 7th as this battle continues.
Muhammad Alif's last lap, 1:12.868. Matt Morton's last lap, 1:11.724. So Morton pulling away by over a second that lap over Muhammad Alif as they're going to work their way back up to the lead. Still 3 cars from the lead pack have yet to pit. Halterman, Cummings, Haddisty, and then you get to Morton, who will cycle out to be the leader. But this battle is heating up for the 6th position on track. Valpo's Ricky Paz there, typically in a yellow car, running a pink breast cancer awareness livery for the month of October, in the battle with the one of Jared Kaler. There you see Ricky Paz inside the driver's cockpit in that Valpo Esports Center, fighting the reigning series champion Jared Kaler, runner-up last season, only to his teammate. And then you've got Matthew Morton behind him. Round
Stagey?
I think that was a Ball State car, Andrew Stagey. Not Alif, as Alif is still in that battle with these cars for the position. Alif has the advantage at because neither Kaler nor...
Oh, man, that was so close.
Alif tried to look to the inside. He's going to give a little, hey, man, I'm the Kaler coming off the corner. But Alif not happy with that move at all, as they're going to go side by side up through the S's, losing a ton of time to Paz. And Alif has got to be thinking how much time he's losing to Morton right now, too.
Yeah, I'm sure he is, and I'm sure he was not thrilled with that. He looked to the inside of Kaler as Kaler looked to the inside of Paz, and it was almost 3-wide disaster going into turn 1. Bit of a warning shot off the corner, and these two have been really throwing off the gloves and scrapping since. We've been on board here with Ricky Paz, but a lot of the action has been right behind here. Is also Drew Jewah onto the scene now as well. The Chattahoochee technical car into the mix as well. Alif thinking about making that dive in the 10, elects against it this time around. You can see on the bottom of your screen there, almost right on the back bumper of Kaler. Maybe a little bit of a push there going into turn 11, trying to really make it work. Not able to get around them, though, that time, and they'll have to make their way down the front stretch once again. Running 6th, 7th, and 8th here, and every corner that goes by is now Alif really trying to dive it into turn 1. Can he get around Kaler doing that? Looks like he'll be able to for the moment. Kaler goes really wide off of 1, tries charging back on the outside into the S's, but Drew Jewah actually will capitalize on that as well. They both go around Kaler here. Alif in the 6th, Jewah in the 7th, and now Alif finally back onto the charge, trying to catch Matt Morton. But right now, his work is cut out for him, as that battle really took a lot of time.
Thomas Toomey has come down pit road to service his car. He will rejoin in the 11th position, which leaves Clint Halterman as the only lead car yet to pit. He's got about 8 more laps before he has to bring that car in, or else he will run out of gas. Now, Muhammad Alif going around the lap car of Tim Robb. Looks like Robb's got some damage there, some contact with that American car from earlier. Robb picked up some damage, but Alif working his way back up towards the front of the field right now. He is about, I'd say, 8.5, 9 seconds back from Matthew Morton. So Morton has gotten the advantage significantly, as Alif battling now with the 19 of Ricky Paz. Paz going to the inside to try and break that drive, but Alif with a much better run, as he's going to very quickly get around that 19 car from Valpo and try to work his way back up through the field. But he's got his work cut out for him as we are approaching 10 laps to go.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that Alif not happy with the way that circumstance went earlier. As you see contact there between DeLong and Stockner, neither of them able to save it. Heavy contact for DeLong. Looked like Stockner had heavy contact with that in exchange as well. So they both are having a really rough evening here. But now Alif trying to get around the Texas A&M car of Major Monsivice. That 12 car looking like it's driving a lot more aggressive than it was when it was leading, now trying to get through all this lap traffic and chase down Matt Morton. Still has a lot of work to do if he's going to be able to do so, and there's not a ton of time left.
Yeah, 12 laps to go in this race. Can this be win number 2 in a row for Matt Morton off of pit strategy? This would put him at 3 wins on the season, tying Logan Clampett for the lead in the College Cup Series points as they head into the final regular season race to crown the regular season champion next week at Darlington. This would be pivotal for Morton to get those playoff points and put himself in a spot to make the championship four. As you look at all these cars, beautiful. I guess Digger has come back from the old Fox broadcast back in the 2000s.
Yeah.
Great shot there coming off of turn 1 as those cars thunder overhead. And I'm thinking, speaking of thunder, I'm wondering if we can do a little crank it up CIL full send action. And we just got the green light from producer Christian. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the sounds of these cars ripping their way around Watkins Glen as we're going to go CIL full send.
Only 9, soon to be 8 laps to go. Matt Morton and R. Muhammad Alif have cycled to the front of this race after Halterman came down pit road. Morton took no fresh tires. Alif took 4 fresh tires. That gap on pit road seems to be the difference right now. And Alif is closing in on him little by little, but does he have enough time? That is the question. And could this have been R. Muhammad Alif's best opportunity at the playoffs? Gone thanks to a decision made on pit road here. Not a whole ton of pit strategy at a 45-lap race at Watkins Glen, but we may have just seen it for the second race in a row here in the CIL be very pivotal.
Yeah, a Leaf coming into this race was 36 points behind the cut line to Jake Cummings. He currently has 5 positions on Cummings, so he will gain a few points going into next week's regular season finale at Darlington. But a Leaf really, with the win tonight, could have sealed the deal to get into the playoffs. So now he is on damage control, trying to get to the back bumper of Morton. That gap is staying right at the top end of 7.7 seconds to the lead. And somebody went for a tumble back behind. I'm not quite sure who that was. Looks like they were able to keep it off the wall. Lucas Moody, that's a Leafs Ball State teammate, got a little sideways out of turn 1. But yeah, this is I honestly, I wouldn't even call it a fumble on pit road. You know, we were following those pit strategies. We saw all these cars come in, take 4 fresh tires. That seemed to be the quote-unquote correct call, and Morton shot the moon, took the no-tire call, and got a 6.5-second lead coming off of pit road. But man, what a call by Morton if he's gonna be able to walk away with this win.
Yeah, he's in good position to do it so far. You can see him on the top of your screen here. He just came out of the S's going down the backstretch with 7 laps to go, holding on to a crisp 8-second lead here over Muhammad Alif, the car he's been battling for most of the race this evening. But right now, it looks to be some open room to rumble there for Matt Morton. And as he hits the stripe to come to 6 laps to go, I mean, right now he is very much in control of this race, and with the likelihood of a full course caution being slim to none here at Watkins Glen, with it having to be manually thrown by the stewards, I would say it's all in his power now to bring it home and pick up the victory for Ohio State.
Yeah, this is definitely going the way of Matt Morton right now, and he's just counting down the laps, counting down the miles until he can take the checkered flag. For a Leaf, he wishes he had about 17 more laps instead of just 7 to try and catch up to Morton, but it doesn't look like those new tires have done much of anything, as that gap hasn't changed much. But a Leaf's got to be careful, because just a second and change back from him is Clint Halterman, who's battling with Drew Jewah at the moment, as we're riding along with Edward Sanchez in that Baruch College number 26 machine, as he's locked in a battle with Tim Moore, and I believe that's Andrew Burrell from Clemson University. This is Edward Sanchez, excuse me. But I believe this is the battle for the 16th position at the moment.
Yeah, right now, I mean, it's nice to being able to have these onboard cameras here. We can see what the CIL field is doing behind the wheel here. We've gotten to see a Leaf. We've gotten to see Ricky Paz, now Edward Sanchez. So the driver cam's coming out in full force here tonight at Watkins Glen, as everyone's showing off the fact that they can make both left and right turns here in these Cup cars, as Sanchez really goes wide out of the carousel trying to get that extra run. We'll close up toward the back bumper of Tim Moore here as they make their way through turn 10 in toward turn 11. He looks like he might have the pace to get something done here going down the front stretch.
Yeah, the lap's winding down for all of these drivers. 5 to go at the line that time by for our leaders and everybody here on track. Edward Sanchez, that pretty blue car with the green wheels, that's certainly an interesting look. I can get behind it. But all focus right now is on Muhammad Alif. Can he get up to the front of Matt Morton? And I think the answer now is no. He does not have the pace nor the time. That gap has come down only a couple tenths in the last about 5-6 laps or so. So right now, the race going the way of Matthew Morton in Ohio State, once again in the lead with the position to strike for the win off of an incredible strategy call on pit road for the second week in a row.
Yeah, but right behind them here, there is still a very pivotal battle going on for the final step of the podium. It was the spring Watkins Glen winner and Clint Halterman trying to hold off Drew Jewah here. Jewah already has a win this season. Halterman, I do not believe does, but he is currently in the playoffs on points, so he's both trying to fight for every point he can get here while also trying to be smart about how he's running this course here with the 3 all over the back bumper. The 4 all over the back bumper of him. As they make their way into turn 1 here with 4 laps to go, both of them going to make it through nice and evenly. Halterman about 2 car lengths ahead of Jewah as they run. You can see the onboard of that Chattahoochee technical car on the bottom right-hand side of your screen as they make their way up through the S's, trying to chase down Clint Halterman and that UNC Charlotte machine.
And Jewah trying to mount the last-minute attack to try and get to the back bumper of Halterman. Halterman, last year's race winner. And he's right back at square one as we saw him last year defending against somebody for this position. Right on his back bumper as he gets a really good run through the S's, maybe cut the course, got those right side tires just dipped into the grass coming out of the bus stop. But no harm, no foul there for the number 3 machine from Chattahoochee Tech as he's trying to work on the back bumper of the 07 of Clint Halterman. Going to take 3 laps to go at the line, this time by for Matt Morton in Ohio State. Then it's Muhammad Alif in second, Clint Halterman and Drew Jewah. This battle that you're seeing on your screen for the 3rd and final podium spot. Matt O'Brien in 5th, Thomas Toomey in 6th, Jake Cummings in 7th, Jake Wiest, the second UNC Charlotte car in the top 10, Hunter Haddesty, the standard bearer right now for Clemson University in 9th, and Ricky Paz with an incredible day, a top 10 for him, the first time we've seen him in the top 10 in a while here in the CIL.
Yeah, he's putting together a really strong run here, and we'll see if he can bring it home to the end. He's about an 8/10 advantage right now over Jared Kaler in 11th, so that is something to keep an eye on here. But the bigger battle with the bigger point implications here is the one that we've been riding along with for the past couple laps. Is now Jewah going to the inside on the carousel, a gutsy move out of the bus stop. Got that run going into turn 9, has that inside position as they make their way around, but Halterman will get that run trying to defend the inside off of 10. Switchback now here for Jewah. Can he dive it into turn 10? Not this time around. Halterman able to hold on to 3rd in a, I would say, dare say a surprising turn of events. I mean, they traded that position a couple of times going through 8, 9, and 10, but now Halterman holding on here with 2 laps to go. Only 22 more corners here for Halterman. Can he be clean in all 22 of them to hold on to that podium spot, or will Drew Jewah force the issue and take away that position?
Jewah much better in the 2nd sector of this track, but the 3rd sector belongs to Halterman. They're relatively even through turn 1 and the S's, but this is where Jewah gets all of his momentum. He's so good through the bus stop as they're coming up on the lap traffic of Colin Kolpa. Going to very easily clear him as he's going to make way for this battle. Jewah looking to the inside. Can he get the run? No, he can't. Not that time by. As actually both of them are going to go into the grass. They both miss the bus stop. Halterman makes out with the better of the two, but Jewah and Halterman completely missing the bus stop, both of them, as they took a ride through the grass.
Yeah, we'll definitely need to see a replay of that. When that happened, we will have to take a look when we have a second here to see how that concluded. But Halterman holding on to 3rd for a moment. He's now got about a 1-second gap over Jewah, but that is starting to come down already. The Chattahoochee Technical Machine knows he has 1 more lap to try and get it done, and will try and chase him down. The replay here on the bottom screen, this is what happened between these two going into the bus stop. They both got loose and heavy contact into the fence there for the Chattahoochee Tech car. Definitely a tough break there. They were both trying to force the issue, getting as close to that fence as possible going into the bus stop, and they both clipped it. But yeah, we are live here on the final lap. Matt Morton going through the bus stop for the final time here at Watkins Glen.
Matt Morton made the call on pit road. He took no tires when Muhammad Alif and Ball State took 4, and it's going to go his way. As Matt Morton for the final time is going to work his way through turn 9 down to turns 10 and 11. And if we're going to see him, yep, there he is through turns 10 and 11 for the final time. And for the third time this season and the 2nd week in a row, he's going to come clean out of the final corner. He sees the checkered flag in front of him. Matthew Morton and Ohio State are going to win the 110 at the Glen.
Big victory there for Matt Morton, make it 2 in a row. Alif will bring it home 2nd after leading the first 27 laps of this race. And it does seem like Clinton Halterman will be able to hold on and bring it home 3rd for UNC Charlotte. 2 positions off from where he finished in the spring, but still another podium finish for the 07.
And a shout out to Matt O'Brien as well, who finished 5th. He is your alumni division winner for tonight's race, as the top 4 were all students, but it's going to be Matthew Morton, your winner, R. Muhammad Alif 2nd, Clint Halterman 3rd, Ohio State, Ball State, UNC Charlotte on the podium, with Matt O'Brien from Michigan Tech walking away with the big points with the win in the alumni individual championship for both driver and school. But man, what a call from that 13 team. And it did wind up being the race-winning call, as the gap didn't change much from when they came off of pit road, about 7.5 seconds. So we'll be able to talk to both Morton and Alif, as well as Halterman and O'Brien, in our post-race show in just a couple minutes. We're going to get the drivers into the booth, but in the meantime, it's going to be victory donuts for that 13 team, as he now ties Logan Clampett on wins for the regular season championship.
Yeah, it's a big victory there for him and Ohio State and their title aspirations. Good job there for that whole team, getting ready to go now with only one race before the start of the playoffs. So definitely a lot of momentum on the side of Matt Morton right now as they start getting rolling. But looks like he will bring it down to the front stretch, and there's the burnouts here on the front stretch of Watkins Glen, letting everybody know who picked up the victory here this evening.
And I'm seeing Jewah walked over to Halt. He's with Halterman right now. Possibly some discussions between the two drivers before we get into the interview, so we'll have to hear from Halterman as to what's being said right now.
Yeah, I'm sure they're probably discussing that bus stop on the second to last lap. I mean, they both went for it and they both clipped the fence. Looked like Jewah just got a little bit more of the fence than Halterman did, and that may have been the determining factor on the 3-4 there. But we will. The drivers are starting to get out of their cars now, so we will be able to start talking to people in just a moment after what was easily the fastest race of the season here, Zach. Definitely just from pillar to post, the least amount of minutes.
Yep, just under an hour long, actually. So very quick race, but that's what happens when you don't have any full course cautions. Very fast racing. These drivers were absolutely ripping it across this track. Very quick lap times in the high 111s, low 112s. But really good battling all the way around. We're going to wait for Matt Morton to get here in the booth. And I thought that was him. That was Matt O'Brien. But we're going to try and interview him first to get the winner's reaction. But yeah, great race. There he is. Let's go ahead and pull in Matt Morton from Ohio State University. Congratulations. 2 weeks in a row, you've walked away with the win. You are now tied for the regular season championship going into the final race in the regular Darlington. Congratulations on the win. What does that mean for you from here on out in the season?
Well, I appreciate the congratulations. I mean, the goal going into Darlington is very simple now. Just try to finish as best as I can and get the regular season championship. But very happy to go back-to-back here. I knew Watkins Glen and road courses in general I'm pretty strong at, so it feels really good to run up front tonight and grab the win there at the end.
Yeah, congrats on the victory. I mean, that was one heck of a battle the two of you had through the opening 27, 28 laps of the race there, and ultimately looks like it came down to the decision to not take tires on pit road. How early into the run did you know that was going to be the call on pit road to try and get the track position?
Well, I've never really noticed that much fall off in the cup cars around road courses. So honestly, the plan me and my teammates had from the beginning, we were just not going to take tires and just get gas and try not to lose all that extra time on pit road. But coming to the pits there, me and Alif, we were coming up on some big traffic there, so pitting there was definitely the right call, and luckily I was able to grab a few seconds on him coming into the pits, and once I noticed he took tires, it was just set as many clean laps and bring it home to the end.
Well, Matt, congratulations again on the win. We're going to let you go celebrate with your teammates. Is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out before we let you go?
Yeah, I'd like to thank the CIL for putting on this series. Shout out Buckeye Gaming Collective. Um, Shout out my teammates Matt O'Brien, Duncan O'Connor. Um, Duncan O'Connor's on the cut line, but he feels good going into Darlington, so wishing him luck there. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, your teammate Matt O'Brien there with the alumni class win as well. So a good day for you guys.
Yes, sir. Before I leave, I want to give a good go Bucks beat Penn State this past weekend. Yeah, looking good for the playoffs.
He gets me every time with it. Congratulations again, man, and hopefully we'll see you back soon.
Thank you, guys.
That was tonight's race winner, Matt Morton from Ohio State University. Congratulations to him as he's going to be fighting for the regular season championship next week at Darlington. Let's go ahead and talk to our runner-up finisher, R. Muhammad Ali from Ball State University. Congratulations on the podium here on the road course in the CIL. Finished exactly where we expected you to here on the podium. But that top step, man, that was so close. Take us through the reaction of when you saw Morton pull off in front of you on pit road.
I was just hoping that maybe the new tires. So I took tires. I think Morton didn't take tires. He probably saved his tires a bit better. So hats off to him for that. But it was, and then after that, it was just battling against the back markers and a few of the drivers who were extra aggressive. I didn't really know why, because they were losing so much time by doing that. But I mean, it is what it is. At the end of the day, it was still a good P2, good points. I think great points for the playoffs, which was, I think, what we were really aiming for, to take advantage. And good podium.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you if you felt like this was the opportunity this season to pick up the first win, or if you're really eyeing up Darlington. I know back in the spring you had a really good run going there in that late battle with I think it was Connor Levy. So a couple of tracks that looked like they may suit you to the end here. Is that like a momentum boost trying to make your way into the playoffs here late?
Oh yeah, I mean, we and the team, I think, the team and me, we've been working really hard, trying to close the gap. The front of the field is very strong. So, but yeah, I mean, we'll take all the opportunities that we can get and try to qualify into the playoffs.
Well, Leaf, there's one race standing between you and a playoff berth next week at Darlington. Coming into this race, you were 36 points below the cut line. I think you were able to make up some ground to that by beating a lot of the drivers standing between you and that cut line, as well as some currently pointing their way in. But what's going to be the strategy next week at Darlington to make sure that you get your way into the playoffs?
The usual: work hard, see where we end up in qualifying, and then try to make all of our opportunities count.
Well, we wish you the best of luck and congratulations again on another podium here tonight. Before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out while we've got you on the show?
Yeah, for sure. Our Ball State esports team, I think the whole team for working really hard. Our esports director, Dan Marino, and the whole program really for all the support.
Yeah, congratulations again, Alif, and I'm sure we'll see you back here on the show before the end of the season.
All right, see you.
It was R. Muhammad Ali from Ball State University, our runner-up finisher tonight. And now we're going to go ahead and talk to Clint Halterman from UNC Charlotte, our third-place finisher. Clint, congratulations on the podium, a well-fought race. I want to talk about that incident with you and Jewah in the closing laps of this race. Both of y'all made contact coming into the bus stop. Both of you missed the corner, I believe. Jewah made some hard contact with the inside wall. We saw you two talking after the race. What were the words that were exchanged between you two?
Yeah, he just came in to apologize for it. I think I broke a little bit early because I felt kind of sketchy getting into the bus stop, and especially on older tires. I was braking a little early, and I think he was just, 2 laps ago or whatever it was, tried to get past me. He misjudged it. So in the moment, I was like, he punted me, and I was kind of mad, but didn't cost me or him anything. It hurt him more because he broke his right front, hitting the wall. So yeah, there's no beef there, unfortunately. He came in to apologize. It's all good. So yeah.
I may be in the minority on it, but I honestly enjoy when people talk it out before just immediately being like, "All right, that guy doesn't know what he's doing." So I'm glad to hear that it was just a working out of understanding between the two of you. But wanted to ask you, obviously, you were able to win this race in the spring and another podium here in the fall. What is it about this track that works so well to the way you drive?
Man, that's a good question. I wish I knew. I mean, I could apply that to other tracks, but I think it's just a track I've raced a lot. It's just probably one of my favorite tracks, and I love the stock cars on the road courses. If you've been in any of the Discord channels, you probably see me hammering for another road course. But yeah, it's just one of my favorite things on iRacing. And Watkins Glen is just one of my favorite tracks. I just love to be able to send. Just feels like you could send the car around here. And yeah, I truly I wish I could say what it is that what is my strength here and why I'm so good here. I think it's just a lot of laps and just I think it's just one of the first road courses I got down, and it's just been something I've enjoyed throughout the years. So that's all I know.
Yeah, Clint, we know you've been advocating for a second road course here in the Cup Series. I want to get your opinion. What would it be if you could make the calendar?
Ooh. That's a good question. If we're thinking about NASCAR type of road courses, I think Road America is a great choice. I think Montreal, not really a NASCAR track, but maybe in the next couple of years it could be. I think that would be a good race. And I really like to spice it up. I'm half joking, half not joking, but I think it'd be really funny and really fun to go to Bathurst in these cars and see the chaos
Gosh.
that throws up.
May as well
But-
just take him to Long Beach at that point.
Hey, I mean, I'm a fan of wacky road course, car and track combinations, and I think Long Beach or Bathurst would be a great one. But and another one that I think another Australian track, I think Sandown, maybe less chaotic, but I think it would produce some good racing in these cars. But yeah, I think if we're being realistic though, I'd probably say like Road America, maybe Charlotte Roval, probably those two. I know I like Coda too, but I feel like Turn 1 might be too dangerous. So, but yeah, I want a second road course race for sure though.
You see
At least.
danger, I see danger, I see fun. I think all of those are great options, and I would love to see another road course in the schedule next season like you. But congratulations on another podium finish here. Glad you're finding some good consistency here at Watkins Glen. Seems to be working really well for you. Before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out on the show?
Yeah, I just want to thank my friends and family for supporting me. Thank Jared Kaler for racing with me, talking me through debating the strategy and stuff like that. And thank y'all for putting on a great show as always. And yeah.
And congratulations again, man. Hopefully we'll see you here again soon.
All right. Thank you guys.
It was Clint Halterman, our third place overall finisher tonight. And to round out the round of interviews, let's go ahead and talk to our alumni winner this evening, Matt O'Brien from Michigan Tech. Finished P5 overall. Congratulations on the big points haul for both you and Michigan Tech in the Alumni Championship, which I believe you are in the lead of now. So a quiet race for you, but a very successful one. Take us through your time out there on track.
It was pretty just driving around for the first until the pit stop. I was a few seconds behind Thomas Towney, and I don't know what he did on his pit stop. I didn't take tires. He must have took tires and I passed him, and then that last 20 laps was probably the best 20 laps I've ever driven at Watkins Glen. This is probably my worst road course, and pretty much drove my guts out the last 20 laps to keep him behind, and pretty worn out.
Yeah, I mean the pit strategy really boiled down to it looked like if people took tires or didn't take tires. But while you were running out there, was there anything in mind about what you were hoping to gain from today, or was it just hit your marks and wherever you ended, you ended?
Yeah, wherever you, yeah, it's just hit your marks and wherever you end, you end. But once I saw once I realized that I was going to get fifth out of the pit cycle, I knew the playoff point was on the line. So I had to drive really hard, and the objective kind of changed because I was like so far behind. I was like, "There's no way I'm going to catch them." Then pit stops changed stuff, and ended up with one playoff point, which is also very nice.
Yeah, Matt, it sounds like you got your focus already on the playoffs, securing those playoff points. You're in the show, moving into next week's regular season championship at Darlington. You know you've made the cut. Is this a good momentum boost for you as we head into the playoffs?
I guess I don't usually let race results affect me too much, so we'll see how it goes. I mean, the playoff tracks are kind of crapshooty, so we'll see how it goes.
Yep, 1 week at a time appears to be the strategy for you, and I don't blame you. Congratulations again on the alumni victory. Is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out before we let you go celebrate?
Shout out to Matthew Morton for the win. He's a madman, so at these road courses. So he's honestly a madman everywhere, but and shout out to my other friend Duncan O'Connor for toughing it out tonight with wheel damage most of the race. So.
Oh, wow. Well, congratulations again on the win, and hopefully we will see you back up here in the booth soon.
Hope so.
That was Matt O'Brien, our alumni class winner tonight. And that is going to do it for our post-race show. Let's get into some final thoughts, Alex, as we head from Watkins Glen into Darlington next week. What an incredible action-filled race. I think that fulfilled all of our expectations coming into tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the road course presents a very different and unique challenge compared to a lot of the ovals, and I think we saw that here tonight. We got to see a couple of drivers, one who we normally see at the front of the field in the College Cup Series, one who we know has the skills on the road course, but maybe doesn't always get to present itself on the College Cup Series side. They got to do battle for a lot of tonight's race, and ultimately it came down to a decision in the pits. So it was certainly a memorable one. Both times we've been to Watkins Glen in recent memories, we've had some pretty memorable ones, but next week, we had the Darlington for not only the regular season finale to see who locks into the playoffs, but also, I mean, as far as recent memory, if we're talking, Darlington last year put on, or I guess in the spring, probably put on the race of the season. So we'll have to see if it can live up to that expectation. Again, you get to see some crazy action there at the Lady in Black, and we'll see if it can repeat what it brought in the spring, because it brought absolute insanity back in March.
Yeah, Darlington, actually about an hour from me, so I might have to go out to the track and do some live reporting for our pre-race show. But that's going to be a heck of a race that I'm looking forward to. Like you said, Darlington always puts on a good show. Incredible racing. Very, very hard racetrack for those who aren't familiar with it. It's very much a race like Watkins Glen in that you have to race the car and the track instead of everybody else around you. It's very easy to make a mistake that ruins your night. And so for a lot of these drivers that are on the outside of the playoff cut line looking in, this is their last shot to get into the playoffs. So they're going to be throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks, to try and either secure the victory, to auto qualify their way into the playoffs, or do their best to point their way in and hope the people around them have a bad night. But it's Darlington. Anything can happen, and we'll have to see what happens next week.
It's also a crown jewel. It's going to be one of the money. It's going to be one of the money races in the CIL this year. There's going to be a little bit of a payout for whoever takes home the trophy leaving Darlington. So one of the couple opportunities for a little extra spice to go on to the race on what was already going to be a rather eventful evening.
So we've got the playoffs to fight for. We've got cash money, cold hard cash to fight for. We've got bragging rights on the line and the regular season championship. This is going to be a do not miss this race.
Yeah.
Incredible. This is gonna be great. But that is gonna do it for us tonight. Alex, let's go ahead and take a look at our final results here from the 110 at the Glen.
Absolutely. So Winning this race, as we know, it was Matthew Morton from Ohio State University. He picked up the victory tonight. Clear 7 seconds over Muhammad Ali from Ball State University. Clint Halterman brings it home on the third step of the podium from UNC Charlotte, with Drew Jewah from Chattahoochee Technical coming in fourth, and Matt O'Brien from Michigan Technological University finishing fifth and picking up the alumni victory. Thomas Toomey brings it home sixth for the University of Virginia. Seventh is Jake Cummings from Wingate University. Eighth is Jacob Wiest from UNC Charlotte. Ninth is Hunter Hadesti in his College Cup Series debut for the season. He'll bring it home ninth for Clemson. And 10th is Ricky Paz from Valparaiso in a really strong drive today.
Yeah, shout out to Paz for that incredible drive. His first top 10 of the season. 11th goes to Jared Kaler from UNC Charlotte. Jason Wallet, 12th for Drexel University. Good recovery drive for him. Garrett Vighton, 13th for Arizona State. 14th goes to Athena LeClaire for St. Clair College. Nova Scotia Community College's Duncan O'Connor brings it home 15th. Tim Moore brings it home 16th for Manhattanville College. Andrew Burrell, P17 for Clemson. Colin Culpa finishes 18th for Indiana University. And Major Monsivice finishes 19th for Texas A&M International. Rounding out the top 20, Tim Robb from American University.
21st tonight is Drew Williams from Clemson. A pair of Ball State University teammates run 22nd and 23rd in Andrew Stagey and Lucas Moody. 24th is Brandon Schulenberger from Wingate University, and 25th is Mark Turek from the Penn College of Technology. Edward Sanchez brings it home 26th tonight for Baruch College. 27th is Sky Schreck from the University of Oklahoma. 28th is Zach Tallman from the Penn College of Technology. Clemson University's Nick Stockner brings it home 29th, and Austin DeLong will finish 30th tonight for Penn College of Technology.
Looking at the rest of the field, a couple of PCT drivers, Dylan Godinez and Michael Sidor, P31-32. Kelton Quick finishes P33 for Ball State. St. Clair College's Tristan LeClaire finishes 34th. Ethan Decatur will bring it home 35th for Valpo. Logan Clampett retired the car early on, will finish 36th for Cal State Fullerton. Spencer Brown, after being involved in that early race incident, finishes 37th for UNC Charlotte. Zarin Bartholomew finishes 48th for St. Clair College. Timothy Wilms, 39th for Drexel University. And Nathan Inman, Clemson University, did not take to the grid after qualifying. And that is going to be our final order here from our 110 at the Glen. The dust and the smoke have settled. The champagne has been sprayed in victory lane. And Matt Morton and Ohio State have dominated their way into victory lane and have officially taken the lead in the College Cup Series regular season championship, tying Logan Clampett in wins. And speaking of the playoffs, only one more race to go until we make the cut to our top 10. Next week's regular season championship race at Darlington Raceway, the Southern 200. At this time a week from now, we'll be crowning our Season 9 regular season champion, announcing our playoff drivers, and paying our top finishers in the race some cold, hard crown jewel cash. There's 5 spots remaining in the playoffs, and every one of our drivers in the top 20 drivers are in the mix to point their way in. So there's surely going to be plenty of action, drama, and history being made next Monday night. Our Ignition Zone pre-race show will start at 8:30 Eastern, with race coverage beginning at 9 here on the CIL Twitch and YouTube channels. And if you, like me, are addicted to cars turning both left and right and can't wait for more CIL action, be sure to tune in to our Formula C Belgian Grand Prix, our cash prize race in Formula C this season. Points leader Muhammad Ali has a 3 GP lead for the championship at the moment, but the battles behind him between Thomas Toomey from Virginia, Cale Davidson from Ball State, Alex Hallinar from Binghamton University, and Jake Cummings from Wingate are still heating up as we've passed the halfway point in the season. So be sure to come watch the most talented open-wheel drivers in all of college e-motorsports face the harrowing Eau Rouge corner and the longest track on the Formula C calendar this season, this Wednesday night at 8:45 Eastern. And I believe that is going to do it for us very quickly tonight. About an hour and a half, and we're done with this race very quick. So on behalf of myself, co-commentator Alex, producers Christian, John, and Keith, and all of us here at the CIL, we'd like to thank you all for tuning in to tonight's 110 at the Glen. And until next week, stay fast.